Hello, BookTube. Today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up. Now, if you recall, when I did my May TBR, it was only kind of for like half the month because I was new to BookTube. I had read some stuff before I started, so I kind of started half month. So I ended up reading 8 books instead of the 3 that I had on my TBR. And I also did a couple graphic novels, but we'll talk about those at the end. So to start things off, Mick Explains the Body Lovers. I already did a review on this. You could check it out. Carter Brown, The Creative Murders. I already did a review on this, and you could check it out if you want. And Naked Lunch. And this I am not going to review because this is kind of personal. So this is just between me and Naked Lunch, okay? So that's that. And then I realized that a lot of the books I have been reading this month have been on my phone, which is weird because I've been getting a lot of books, but all the books I've been wanting to read and books that have been kind of recommended to me, I have the ebooks of. Star Trek #1 by James Blish. At first I thought this was just one episode, but it's actually like 4. Was it 4? Basically, when I was reading it, I kind of just felt like I was watching the TV show because I knew all of the things that it was talking about. I'm going to be reading something different in June, which starts tomorrow, and hopefully that will be a better thing. Next, to continue my William S. Burroughs kick, I read Junkie, and Junkie was actually a lot more together than I thought it was going to be. The only experience I've really had with William S. Burroughs is Naked Lunch and the Nova trilogy. So like The Soft Machine, The Ticket That Exploded, Nova Express. Those are very lucid to me. And so I thought that was just his style. And Junkie was not like that. It was very much a beginning, middle, end kind of story. And in fact, when it ended, it seemed like it could have just kept going. So I'll do a review on that maybe. Next, Post Office by Charles Bukowski was really good. And the funny thing is, when I started reading it, I was like, dude, I know what's happening. So I think what happened was years ago I started reading it and then I DNF'd it because half of the book I completely recalled, and then there came a point when it seemed like it was brand new to me. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so good, so relatable. I'll do something more on that. And then I read Hear the Wincing by Haruki Murakami. Hope I said that right. This author is a complete BookTube find. I had never heard of him before me doing this BookTube channel. I tried him out because I heard on someone's channel, and I wish I can remember who it was, but they said that Murakami is a lot like Kurt Vonnegut. So I'm like, ooh, gotta try that. I started at the beginning, and I usually do that with most writers. I try to start at the beginning and go, and it's kind of unfair because sometimes a lot of writers' first few books aren't very amazing, and I lose interest. Hear the Wincing was relatively good. It didn't seem very plot driven except for the ticking clock plot device thing. Like at the very beginning of the book, it says these events happened like over 18 days in 1970 or whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, so this is only 18 days long. Something's gonna happen. And so the whole time I'm like trying to count days, and I'm like, okay. But it's more of just a chunk out of people's lives than an actual ticking clock scenario. So, but it was good. I enjoyed it. And you know what? I completely forgot that I finished Bright Orange for the Shroud yesterday, the 6th Travis McGee book. And I'm glad I read it. I'll do a review on it. One thing that I was stoked about is that it took place in Florida and didn't leave Florida. And so that was really cool. Now, for the graphic novels, the first one I read was a reread from when I was a wee little lad, and that was Death in the Family, the Batman graphic novel. And this was the first like trade paperback I ever owned, and it was the only one I owned for a really long time. I got it when it came out. I read the comics when they were released as comics or whatnot, and I just couldn't believe it. And Batman would be one of my like favorite characters, and is, but I've always just disliked Robin and the whole concept of it. It was just like, ugh. Because when you look at a lot of the other superheroes that had kind of kid sidekicks in the 50s or 40s when it was important to have that, they kind of didn't have them for very long. And for some reason, Robin stuck around like a bad rash and just didn't go away. DC did something really weird, polling the fans if they wanted Robin to die or not by having them call a number and say if they wanted him dead. And sure as shit, they wanted him dead. He died, and it was violent as fuck. And like, I totally don't remember it very well. And like, when I was looking at it, I like would recognize the pictures. I'm like, oh yeah. But it was like I still didn't exactly remember it, and it was so freaking brutal. But yeah, it was really good. And then the next one I read, I know I'm like 10 years behind on all this, but was the original 8-issue Old Man Logan series. And it is so freaking good. And I'm a little concerned about how everything goes after, because I have not kept up on it. And my history with comics is basically, I read comics a lot, and then somewhere after the death of Superman, I kind of lost interest. Didn't pick back up until Civil War. Civil War got me straight back in, and I was like ridiculous. And then Secret Invasion, I kind of fell off again, which was only like the next. I think the Initiative was before Secret Invasion. But yeah, I fell off. And I've been keeping track here and there and here and there. And then with when they did the new 52 at DC and the all new, all different Marvel, I just was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And then I've been hearing what has been happening with some of the titles. Some of them are intriguing and some of them are nauseating. So I just wanted to kind of jump in on the last like 10 years of shit that I've missed. And the Old Man Logan story was something that interested me the most. And it was so good. It's so good. And again, I'm super late to this party. I just worry what happens after this, because I think it's a different writer and a different artist after the Old Man Logan, the first 8. And then I think a long time went by, and then they brought him back as a part of Secret Wars. But it looks a lot different, and I don't know exactly what I think about it yet, because I haven't read it. So anyway, that is the stuff that I read. Oh my gosh, I could totally... Ugh. And I'll be doing my June TBR here quite soon.